Welcome to my third and final guide for the Whisper of the Worm quest mission. This guide will be for the encounters only, not the jumping puzzle, as I've already made quite a few videos on that. I'll go over some loadout recommendations, but we'll mainly talk about how to approach each room of enemies and offer some advice if you're still struggling to beat this mission either on normal or heroic. This video is kind of a culmination of all my previous strategy videos for this mission and everything I've learned to help you beat this mission pretty easily. So let's start off with what weapons and exotics you'll want to use for this mission. If you're a warlock, I would suggest going with Stormcaller or Dawnblade, although Voidwalker can be useful if you choose to go for a riskier final boss strategy. If you're rocking Stormcaller, the exotic helmet Crown of Tempest is a great pick. If you're on Dawnblade, I'd go with Apotheosis Veil or the Stag. Lunafaction boots are pretty good for the final boss, but if you're using something like Polaris Lance or Whisper of the Worm, you don't really need the insta reloading. Not to mention if you wear Lunafaction boots, they can actually cancel out the white nail perk on the Whisper of the Worm, so make sure not to have those on if you have the sniper and Lunafaction boots. If you're a hunter, I would suggest using Arcstrider and only Arcstrider with the exotic chest piece Raid in Flux, and even though you can make pretty good use of tether in this mission, I wouldn't bother unless you're doing something like all hunters where two of your teammates are already Arcstriders. Having Lucky Raspberry equipped can actually be really good for the first and final rooms if you use the Arc Bolt grenades, but you'll mostly want to stick with Raid in Flux if you have it. Of course, you can make Golden Gun and Nighthawk or tether and rigs work, but nothing is going to beat Arcstrider for this mission. And if you're a Titan, I would say any subclass is great for this one. Sentinel with the exotic gauntlets Doomfang Pauldron can actually do some serious work this weekend in particular because it's Void Singe, but I would recommend Sunbreaker for Melting Point or Striker over Sentinel. You'll also want to use the exotic gauntlets Cyntha seps if you're rocking Striker or Sunbreaker. They really give a nice buff to your melee and super damage when you're surrounded. Weapons are the usual Midnight Coup, Better Devil's DFA, or really anything for the kinetic slot. For energy, things like Pleiades Corrector or Mananan SR4 are great energy scouts. Risk Runner for clearing the final room of ads, and Polaris Lance, which I would highly suggest using for the bosses. Bring along a Void Energy weapon for the second room though, you'll definitely need that to kill the Acolyte shields and the wizards. And for heavy weapons, if you've already gotten the Whisper of the Worm, just use that. Otherwise, things like the EP Sniper, Darcy, Sleeper Stimulant, or any rapid fire shotgun should do just fine. You'll see me using the Whisper of the Worm for this mission, but how I approach these encounters can be replicated with any other weapon. For this first room, you want to jump up and to the left to get onto these rocks, use the blight as cover from the Vandal snipers, and standing here you can actually take out every single orange bar that is currently spawned in. Take out the Vandal sniper and the captain on the left, and if you're quick enough you can even take out the captain in the back of the room as well as this Vandal on the opposite ledge. Your team will want to clean up the thrall gathering around the blight while you're taking out the majors so that the new group of enemies can spawn in as soon as possible. Coordinate supers so that only one person is using a super per room and you're not wasting them. I chose to super first and was able to take out almost every single enemy in this initial room except for a few Vandals. Clean them up and move on to the next room. For this little cave area, you want to have one of your teammates burn their supers here because trying to fight these guys with bullets or fists is a nightmare. Whoever uses their super here can even try and get a head start in the next room with the energy they have left on their super. For this purple room, you want to look up and to your left and see the knight peeking his head out, and before he spits his fire at you, you can try to take him out with your sniper or whatever you're using in your heavy. If you can get up there to where he's standing, you will have a great vantage point for clearing the rest of the enemies in this room. Once up there, snipe the taken knight across from you and then shoot each of the taken hobgoblins sitting on the back wall. Your teammates should be cleaning up the acolytes on the floor, as well as starting to work on the 2 wizards on the left and right of the room. There is still one more taken knight you have to shoot. He's on the left side about midway through the room, and you can take him out if you run to the right side of the room for a clear shot. Take out the blight closest to the exit because you don't want the taken phalanxes that spawn in to be immune when you're trying to fight them, and somehow their shield blast can go through the blights. Take them out and it's onto the pit. All you have to do here is take out the hobgoblins who are trying to snipe you, destroy the blight blocking the pit, and jump down without ever killing a scion. Now for the final room. Take out the first wave of ads that spawn with a super while the rest of your team clears as many blights as possible. The more blights you leave up, the harder it will be to kill the bosses. When the bosses spawn, if you have a titan, you can send them in for melting point while the rest of you do damage. Otherwise, just sit in the far back of the room and do as much damage to the bosses as you can. If you're using something like a sleeper or Darcy, burn all your ammo on the bosses and then just switch to Polaris Lance. Avoid all the ads besides maybe a few vandals in the very far back who might be of annoyance with their snipers, and just focus on the bosses. That's really all there is to it. So that about does it for all my Whisper of the Worm guides and videos. If you want to learn some strategies for speedrunning, the jumping puzzle, I'll leave those videos in the description. Otherwise, good luck to those of you still trying to get your Whisper Sniper, the Catalyst, or the Taken Ship.